Hey guys, coming in for Homeland Season 5, Episode 2, The Tradition of Hospitality. And I was looking forward to this episode. I think last week's premiere was really good, really set us up for the season. But this episode was so much better, honestly. I thought this episode was a lot better. This episode, already, it's very intense. Already, a lot is happening this season. I also, some of the secondary characters, some of the new characters really got some time to shine this episode, but let's just get into it. It was a really crazy episode, and if this is where we're going this season, this is going to be a crazy season, so let's just get into it. So we start with Carrie in Lebanon with Philip Becker and Mike Brown. They drive to a refugee camp where people are lining up to get inside, and they pull to the gates and ask for Colonel Hugan, and their car is checked for bombs, and they're allowed inside and told where to park. They drive through the setup of tents and trailers, park, and get out, and Carrie looks around cautiously, mainly because she just doesn't really want to be involved with all this. You know, she doesn't want to be with the CIA. She wanted to get out of it. And Philip asks her about Hezbollah, and she says they'll contact her, but she doesn't know when. They go to talk to Hagen, and the colonel takes them inside his office trailer. He says things are changing fast, and today they get 1,000 people. And Philip says they need resources, and Otto will get them. And Hagen asks why the journalists, and Philip says will help raise awareness. And they ask about security, and Philip says that Otto needs to be seen in the camp, but Hagen says it's not safe. And then a guy comes in, and Carrie goes to step out, and Hagen asks if she wants the message out that the foundation deals with Hezbollah. And Carrie basically says that she and Mike step out and follow the guy, and he walks them through a shattered warehouse, and Carrie has to rescue Mike, and they then search Mike and Carrie, and a woman searches her, and Carrie warns her that she has a gun under her jacket, and basically the woman takes it and hands it to a guard, and they tell Mike that only Carrie can go inside. You know, she's the only one that can do this, and basically she says it's okay and goes inside, mainly because she has experience with this kind of thing, and she greets a man, and he says he speaks better English than her Arabic, and the man says that, you know, she starts speaking Arabic, but it's not very good, so he tells her, okay, I speak English, you know, she's butchering it, and I thought that was kind of funny. So basically, the man says that she's CIA, and she says she was, but is a private citizen who the council gave safe passage to. You know, she wants to tell him straight out, I'm not working with the CIA here, so you don't have to worry about me. I'm not with the CIA. And the man says he's seen no payment, and she says it was sent to Al-Amen's account, and Carrie asks the man to please listen and asks her for her backpack. But she tells Wallet that she brought him $40,000 as well. So that's pretty convincing, honestly. $40,000, I think that's pretty convincing. And he says they have a deal, but then says that the camp is overrun. It gets worse every day. And he says there's all kinds of scum and tells her to not stay longer than an hour or he can't guarantee auto safety. And she agrees. And a news program reports on the German intelligence cooperation with the CIA, and they have Laura Sutton on the show. Now, a lot of people are saying that Laura is going to be a very annoying character, and I agree. I think Laura is going to be quite an annoying character, but we need her on the show, okay? It makes sense why she's here. She is annoying. I can understand why people think she's annoying, but I think her character overall, I do enjoy, definitely. I do overall enjoy her character. And basically, we then see that as we know, Laura sent something out last week. You know, she sent something out basically. She leaked something online, and they have basically her on the show, and they call her a dissident American, however you pronounce that, journalist. And Laura says that the document shows the details of the arrangement between the two governments, and that's basically what she leaked. And Laura says that this could be the tip of the iceberg, and Saul is watching with Allison, who I really started to like Allison's character in this episode, and I'll talk about why. He basically says that there's more, and says BND has a team in Laura since she came to Berlin, and shows him pics of Allison with Carrie, and she says she doesn't think Carrie's involved, but they both work for Otto during, and Laura says that tells the guy she's sure they're searching her apartment and just hopes that they don't let her car out. So Laura has a safe in her apartment, and the intelligence people can break into, and Laura says that she moved to Germany because of the privacy protections that Germany promises citizens and guests. And also, I forgot to say, the new intro, I absolutely love. I really do love the new intro. I think it's cool how they always update it to where they are, and I think that definitely was really cool. So the German intelligence officer tells her cohort to bring Laura in. They ask her about the source of the leak, and Laura says that she doesn't know who the person that leaked is, but of course it's her. She's not going to say that, oh, I'm the one that leaked it, because she is the one that leaked it. And she says that person took a big risk to expose this, and says she's honored that person reached out to her, and says she will respect their trust no matter what. And the hackers watch, and they talk about sending her the rest of the data, and he says he can take the rest of it to Laura in person so it won't be intercepted. They seem to know that she's the one that sent it out, and of course he says they should get money from this, but his pal says information should be free. And then we see Fatima's working on recruiting a German girl to do some dirty work for her, and Fatima is basically the one that Quinn is supposed to kill next. And I really love the way Quinn's storyline is going. I mean, Quinn is just a badass so far this season. The thing I love about Quinn is that he doesn't care who these people are, because, Fatima is doing some things that probably is good, helping out, some innocent people, but to Quinn, she's just another name on a kill list. He just has to get the job done because that's simply his job. He can't say no. He has to kill the person no matter what, and I like seeing that. And, Quinn kind of has no remorse at all because that's just his job. So Fatima reminds her that she saved her from killing herself and says that was Allah, and says he chose her for important work and she must submit, and the girl finally agrees and wipes away her tears, and Quinn watches from nearby, and Fatima hugs her, and they part ways, and Quinn then watches her walk on, keeps tabs on her so that way he knows where she is, and she goes into a market and he loses her. So Laura's outside the news station and she hauls a cab, but she then sees the hacker, but then Hans, a German agent, grabs her, shoves her into an SUV, and she demands to know what the charge is, and the hacker walks away. Clearly they know that she's the one that, leaked this file that they clearly did not want her to leak, and obviously they're pretty pissed at her for that. So Carrie talks to Lothar, who says Otto arrives today, and she says she'll come see him soon, and she finds Hank waiting in the lobby and hugs him. He says it's a small town. They step outside together, and he says he didn't believe when he heard she was coming with Otto, and he asks Carrie if she's a Trojan horse at the Foundation, and Carrie says it's not like that at all. He says whatever, then asks about her meeting with Walid, and he asks how compromised his control of the camp is, but she says she can't be seen to help the agency, and he asks if she's joking, but she says she's not, and she basically just walks away, even though, he compromised her control, she just walks away, and, Carrie goes upstairs later, finds a party in full swing, and Otto gestures her over, but she begs off, and he goes outside on the patio where it's quiet, and he offers her a drink, and she says she's 9 months sober tomorrow. It's been 9 months since she has been drinking and, taking those pills that she has to take. I mean, she's doing pretty well overall. I like seeing Carrie be trying to stay stable. We know it's not going to stick. She's not going to stay this way, obviously. Things are going to get bad for her, but right now, it's nice to see her at least trying to turn her life around. I definitely like seeing that. I definitely do like seeing how that's working out. So basically, she says she would have liked to see the guest list free, but he says he knows these people and thought it was a good idea to do business here too. And he says Philip told her they're all set, and she says Hezbollah is cooperating, but it's unpredictable, and says she was told just 1 hour, and he says that will be tight. And Carrie gives him a look, and he says 1 hour. An automatic gunfire then sounds nearby, and she says it's probably a wedding, and he says of course, but is shaken, and she's trying to stay calm. She doesn't want to think that something bad is going to happen, and he says she seems comfortable there, and Carrie says hardly, and then says she was first here in 2004, and she says there were truck bombs, assassinations, and other things, and he asks if she was scared, and she says no. It was more like an adventure, but she was different then, and she's claiming she is, but I don't really believe that, honestly. I think Carrie wants to think that she's changed, but it seems like in this episode that she's starting to go back to her old ways. It just seems like she is, and it's pretty inevitable that she's going to end up back to the CIA. It's inevitable at this point. So she says there was no one waiting for her back home, which is true. I mean, that's the difference now. Now she has Jonas and Franny waiting back for her. That's where she has them waiting back for her. Who we did not see Jonas' episode. I thought Jonas was going to try to protect her, but we don't see him in this episode. Mainly because, she's on an outing away from them. So more gunshots fire, and the German agent Astrid, who, it was cool to see Astrid. If you remember Astrid, she is actually Quinn's ex-fiance, ex-wife, something like that. But she, if you remember, helped him out last week, and it was cool to see him again. I definitely liked seeing her again, and she speaks with Laura and shows her that they can hold her for 18 months to security risk, because obviously Laura has done something very bad, and they're really upset at her for what she did, and she tells Laura to give her the name of her source and she can go, and Laura says journalists protect their sources, and Astrid asks if she has the other documents. She asks her if she knows what's at risk, then says hundreds of German citizens went to Syria to engage in terrorism and can come back and do worse here, and she tells Laura she made it much more likely that this will happen. And, it wasn't a bad situation, but Laura's made it horrible for them. So Ashley talks about tight resources, and Laura says they got caught breaking the law and aren't allowed to spy on their citizens. And basically, Laura knows that she's broken the law, and it's really bad what she's done. So Saul and Allison watch, and Allison says that Laura would let the country burn to get a Pulitzer, which is true. That's the thing I don't like about Laura, and I can understand why people are annoyed by her, because Laura pretty much just wants war. She wants bloodshed. She wants tension, and obviously it's annoying. It's annoying that she wants all this, but for whatever reason, she just wants to create problems, and yet she doesn't want to, she doesn't even want to admit that she's the one that did it. And Saul says he talked to the BND and her more too, and he says the Chancellery is furious. He says they want to scalp, then tells her it's going to be her, and she has 24 hours to leave the country, and Saul says the director refused to fight for her, and Allison is furious that he's just making her leave the country like this, all on her own. She wasn't prepared to do this. I felt really bad for Allison's episode, definitely, and I thought it was really upsetting what happened to her here. So Carrie calls Jonas, and he says Franny just fell asleep. She says not to wake her, then says she'll be home tomorrow. If you remember at the end of last week's episode, she basically had to leave abruptly because she got that call, and she thanks him for watching Franny, and he says not to give it a second thought, and they're having fun, and he asks if she's being careful. She says very, and she's hiding behind Hunky X Special Forces guy, so that's how she pronounced it, and she says she misses him, and he says the same, and I really like Jonas, honestly. I'm really liking his character. He seems to really care for Carrie. He seems to really want to help her out, and he seems like a really great guy. My problem is with him is that this is Carrie we're talking about. I don't know if Carrie is going to stay committed, and obviously Carrie's worst fear is to end up like Brody, and you really see that throughout this episode. She doesn't want to be like Brody, but it kind of seems inevitable at this point that that's where she's going, and I don't know if that is where she's going, but it just kind of seems like that's kind of what's going to happen here. So Quinn waits in a car. He gets out as Fatima walks past. She greets Demet, the German girl, and asks if she's seen Alya and has her passport. She's taking them to leave, and then Alya shows up and says it was hard to get away, and Fatima tells her she's proud of her, loads them into a van, and Quinn goes back to his car. The van drives by, and he pulls out too. Astrid talks to Jonas, Laura's lawyer, and tells him that they acted within the law. And that was interesting. We found out that Jonas was Laura's lawyer. I like finding that out. And she basically tells him that they acted within the law. And Astrid says if she publishes any more documents, she'll be on a plane back to America immediately. And obviously, he's telling her, look, this is at risk. This is not good what she's doing. And Otto does his speech at the refugee camp and talks about the need for food. And I really liked Otto's speech. I thought it was a really good speech here. He talks about, the need for food, medical care, shelter, and says they will provide these things. And Carrie watches the crowd anxiously. And Otto talks about the need for education, too. He says he has a check for $10 million to help, and he says this is just the start. And Carrie stands by Mike, and they both look pretty tense at this point, and Otto then calls on his peers to help as well, and says when peace comes, these people can go home and rebuild their home in pride, knowledge, and skill. The speech ends, and she tells Mike to get the vehicles ready, and so they can go, and basically Otto thanks Hagen, and he steps down by Carrie, who says the hour is up. He says he needs 10 more minutes, and Carrie says no, but he insists on time to talk to the press, and basically that's happens there. So then we get what I think was my favorite scene in this episode between Allison and Saul. Because obviously, Saul is probably in a very awkward position. This is the first time he's not working with Carrie. And you can tell how that's starting to affect him in this scene. And I definitely really loved this scene between Saul and Allison. Allison is a character that I feel has the potential to become one of my favorites, honestly. Just the way she is, I really love her character. So Saul gets another update on issues caused by the breach. And Allison tells Saul that Astrid called to say Laura was released and they have her under intense surveillance. They step into the conference room, and Allison says moving those Ukrainian assets is risky, and says she's the best person to find assets to replace them, and she says she's the best person to fix this, but Saul says his hands are tied, and she asks point blank what he would do if she was Carrie, and he says this, and she says it's bullshit, he would be protecting her at all costs, and that's true. I mean, Carrie is like Saul's daughter. He's protected her so much. He's done so much for her. And Allison is in the same exact position as Carrie, but he's not doing the same thing. And Allison says Carrie's gone. He should show some allegiance to those who stuck around to support him. And I really do agree with Allison. I mean, Carrie abandoned him. He should not feel for Carrie. I know that Saul will always have this connection with Carrie, but he honestly shouldn't give two shits what Carrie is doing because she completely abandoned him. And Allison has stayed there even when Carrie left, and she wants to help him out. She wants to be there for him. And obviously, she's really pissed that he would just let her go out, on this, she had 24 hours to leave when she knew nothing about this, and it was a very much a dick move, and she's really pissed at him for that, and I can totally understand that, and I really love that scene. By far my favorite scene in the episode, and I definitely really love that. So Carrie looks around nervously, not knowing what's gonna happen, and Mike says they have to go. Carrie tells Otto it's time to go right now. A woman asks Otto to look at a boy who's 8 and has never been in school. Mike alerts Carrie to a guy in a dark jacket, and Carrie sees the guy coming, and this guy seems to be after her. We don't know why they're after her, but this guy seems to be. And Mike pulls a gun. Carrie pulls Otto aside. Mike says to show his hands. The guy grabs the woman, then shows he has a trigger in his hand, and Carrie says to take him. Mike shoots him. They see the guy has a bomb vest on, and Carrie tells the driver to go. They speed out, and she tells Otto to stay down, and Carrie looks around very nervously. She spots someone moving, then notices there are no people around, and she tells him to stop. And the driver doesn't stop. She doesn't listen to her, and she slams her foot in the brakes. They barely miss getting blown up, and the driver gets out and runs, and Carrie then gets behind the wheel, and she does a U-turn, busts through the gates of the camp. She drives them directly to the plane, tells him to get on the plane. He says he needs to make some calls first, but she says get on the plane now. And Carrie says she needs to get a sense of what happened here, and he says they just stayed too long. And she says no, was carefully planned. They were going to hit them anyway. And she says she has to stay, make sure this threat doesn't follow them to Berlin, because now she knows that this was planned. Someone is after her. She doesn't know who it is, but she knows there's someone out there. So Otto says he won't forget she saved his life, and Carrie then goes in the bathroom, tries to calm herself. She's crying, and you really start to see some of those old, some of her old ways come back in this scene, and she's doing whatever she can to calm down. She's making an effort. I like how Carrie's at least making an effort to try not to go back to her old ways, but just the way this is working out, it seems like she's starting to already get back to, her tense self, her self that's not happy with herself. Her bipolar disorder, I feel, is going to come back very soon, and if the way things are going, I definitely feel that bipolar is going to come back. And Carrie begs for God to help her, and Fatima then stops the van. The girls get out, and Quinn still follows. They hug Fatima, and she wishes them luck. He watches all this. The girls back in the van, and Fatima goes into the restroom. Quinn calls in the license plate of the van and says it's got ISL females. Fatima comes out of the bathroom dressed differently, goes to another car, and Quinn follows her. He pulls down her face scarf, and she says "bitte," which is please in German. He shoots her with a silenced pistol and takes a picture of her face, and basically he got the job done. Like I said, he did not have a choice. He had to do this, even though he probably maybe didn't sit right with certain people. He knows that he has a job to do, and he can't say no. He has to do what the CIA tells him to do, or else he's going to be fired. That's just how this goes. So I liked how Quinn understood that. So Allison calls Dar, and he says taking one for the team will help her career, and she says it's a huge security risk, and she's too valuable to sideline, and Dar says no one doubts her value, but the Germans are demanding an important head, and she says to give them Saul, but he says sorry. She says he can't just kick Saul out of Berlin, and he can do his job from anywhere, and Allison says who would he rather have on the ground there, he or Saul, and basically it seems that Allison is trying to kick Saul out, because she doesn't trust Saul, and that's understandable. Saul is definitely playing favorites here. It seems like he doesn't like Allison very much. It seems like he doesn't want to treat her very well. And if he's not going to treat her well, I like seeing Allison willing to stand up and be like, you know what? Give her to Saul. I like her doing that. And I think Allison has the potential to become maybe my favorite character on the show. I think she is fantastic. I'm really loving what they're doing with her. And if we get this Allison-Saul conflict, I definitely really love where this is going. I think it's definitely very interesting. So, and it's kind of something that I don't think we've really seen before. Definitely, I like seeing that. So, at the German post office, Saul goes inside and makes his drop, and Carrie comes back to the hotel and finds a man in her hotel room, and basically, this man is right here, and again, someone is after her, but Roz says he has to give it back since Ella Min gave his word to protect her, and they failed. He says Walid betrayed them. He shows her the video of them beating Walid. He tells her to listen, and she sees that they ask him why kill Otto when he was helping, and Walid says it was Carrie that was the target, not Otto, and, basically, they tried to kill Otto, but, it seemed like Otto was going to be the target, but Carrie was the target. So, clearly, there's someone after her. Again, we don't know who's after her, but there's someone that is. And Who it is, I don't know, but somebody is after her, and that definitely is very interesting to see what ends up happening there. So, and it seemed like they were gonna the bullet was meant for Carrie. It wasn't meant for Otto. That's why they spared Otto, because they meant to kill Carrie. So basically, Baraz said they questioned him 6 hours and says he was more afraid of whoever wants her dead than he was of dying. And he says Beirut is not safe for her anymore and she has to leave. And it's just, this is crazy. Someone is out there, and who's out there, we don't know, but this is going to get insane. So Quinn goes to the post office, leaves a phone with the proof, picks up the next assignment, and he sees that there's numbers for him to look up, and he has today's paper and works a cipher. He writes down the letters, and the name is Matheson. That is his next target, apparently. That is the next target that he's going to, and we realize that Quinn is the one that might be after Carrie, and that's basically how the episode ends. So if Quinn's after Carrie, this could be very interesting. We don't know if he is, but it seems like Carrie is the next target that he has to go after. And obviously, he's gonna kill her, because if he killed someone like Fatima, he's gonna kill Carrie. And even though he has, emotional attachments to her, he doesn't care. That's his job. He needs to go after her. Now, why is the CIA after Carrie? I don't know. For whatever reason, it seems like they are the ones after her. Why should they after her? We don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. Also, why are these people from, Germany, why are they attacking her? Why did they attack Otto and not her? That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But it definitely seems like Carrie's going to go back to what she thought, the worst. It looks like next week things get really bad for Carrie. She's going to definitely have to go back to the CIA, and she's going to have to. I mean, honestly, she has to do that because she's not safe there. And if she's not safe, obviously they want her to be safe, so they're going to tell her to go back to the CIA, even though she really doesn't want to. She's inevitably going to have to. And I like the character of Jonas. I like how he's trying to protect her. Does Jonas possibly know that this person is out there for her? I'm not sure. That could be very interesting if he does, but I'm really loving what they're doing with the character of Allison here. The way that she's trying to get rid of Saul is very interesting. Do you actually think that they'll try to get rid of Saul? I don't know. I mean, it always seems like the CIA has had Saul's best interest, but if Allison tells him to get rid of Saul and that he's not respecting her, they need to respect that. They need to, understand that this person is not respecting her. He's not giving her the satisfaction that she needs. He's not even really being, truthful, and not really being very fair either. They should probably kick him out. It would probably be the safe thing to do, but would they really get rid of Saul, who they've worked with for so long? I don't really know if they'll get rid of Saul. So Allison, I really like where this is going, but I do kind of fear the worst for her. Let's talk about Laura. Laura, yeah, she is getting kind of annoying with her not admitting to things. What is going to happen with her? Is she going to be forced to go back to America? I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. We'll have to see what ends up happening with Laura, but clearly something is very bad for Laura, and I don't see things going well for her. I see Laura dying, honestly. I don't see things going well for Laura at all. I think she's probably going to be the character to die this season, because, they kill off someone every season. They killed off Farah last season. I feel like Laura's going to be like Farah did last season, and basically with Quinn, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Quinn handles this, because obviously he knows he's going after Carrie now, and it seems that Quinn is the person going after her, but do you think he's really going to do this? I mean, when he saw the name, he didn't really think much of it, and we know that he's not on good terms with Carrie, so I feel like he wouldn't really mind killing her, even though he probably, in the back of his mind doesn't feel right with doing it. He knows he has to, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now, let's talk about Otto. What will happen with Otto and Carrie? Because obviously Carrie just saved Otto's life, but what will happen here? Because obviously the person was after Carrie, not Otto, and what is Carrie gonna do about that? Obviously Otto, I think, is gonna try to protect her, but there's only so much protection you can give her. I mean, they were almost killed. Otto was this shy of being killed if Carrie had not saved him. I honestly thought they were gonna kill off Otto in that scene, but luckily they didn't. But I thought they were going to, and I don't think it's very safe for Carrie. And I think Otto's gonna tell her, look, you got to get the hell out of here, because clearly someone's after you, and it's not safe for you here, and you need to leave. But I don't think Carrie's gonna listen, because since when does Carrie listen? Honestly, since when does Carrie listen? She does what she wants. That's who she is, and she has family back home. Obviously, she wants to be safe, but I don't think staying, being the citizen that she is, private citizen, is being safe at all, because obviously there's someone after her and we don't know who it is, and that's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening there. But overall, guys, an amazing episode. They're really on a roll, I have to say, this season so far. I'm really loving where the season is going. I think this was a very intense episode. A lot of crazy stuff happened in this episode. I really am loving the secondary characters as well. I know a lot of people are saying that we need to give them time to gel. Maybe the first episode, I was kind of like, they're okay, but here I'm really liking where they're going with them. As annoying as Laura is, I think she's a good character as well, because she's stirring up trouble, and we need trouble on a show like Homeland. Honestly, we do, because that's when Homeland is best, is when there are a lot of troubles going on and missions aren't working out and people are after people. I mean, that's when things are getting really crazy, and this is the Homeland that I love. This is how crazy Homeland can get, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this was an amazing episode overall, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the affair, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.